feel like I need to start a new video series called Has It Been Turned Into a Roguelike Yet? Because this seems to be the theme of gaming across 24 and 25, and I'm not complaining, I'm loving it to bits, but it's exactly where you'd find Letterlike. Letterlike is a roguelike word game that takes ideas from Scrabble but removes the board and focuses it on making synergies, and that's synergies between certain letters and the numbers that those score, just like Scrabble, but also a multiplier in how long the word is. But the crucial thing here is that in between each round of play, you can use the money that you gain from successfully clearing the previous round to then alter the word tiles, or the letter tiles, so that they score differently, or you can add on to multipliers to make your word length matter far more. This means that you don't have to focus on trying to get the biggest, most complicated word possible, but it certainly helps because it gives you a thumbs up or a head start in scoring big. At the beginning of Letterlike, you start off with 6 blank tiles which can be filled with letters to allow you to make up to 6-letter words. Just like Scrabble, every tile of a letter has a score attached to it, and that forms the first part of each word score that you get. However, the next bit is a word length multiplier, and so if you put in a 6-letter word, that will have a higher multiplier than a 5, that will have higher than a 4, or a 3, or a 2, for example. However, once you've then earned and crossed over a threshold to score enough points to move to the next round, you'll collect coins, and initially that's just based on if you passed the mark. And you'll then spend those coins to start altering the letter tiles or the word length multiplier. So, it could be that you spend 6 coins to upgrade the letter A so that it no longer scores, say, 6 or 7 points, it will now score 9 or 10. Or it could be that you want to increase the multiplier for a 5-letter word so that it scores more points whenever you submit a word of that length. That then means that if you're struggling to get, say, a 6-letter word, you can focus on improving the multiplier of your 4s and 5s to keep you in the game. However, the starting base score is always much higher when you do a bigger word, and so it pays to try and make the biggest, most complicated words possible. There's another thing to add into the mix too, and these are buffs. And you start off with 3 of these initially, but you can unlock more over time. And these can add on additional scores to every single letter tile. It could be that it wants to double, triple, or quadruple the score of, say, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th letter in a word. Or it could be that the entire word score itself has an additional multiplier. And so you can spend out all of your coins to try and help add in some of these buffs, and you're going to need them because Letterlike has a really steep cliff of expected scores for you to meet. And this essentially becomes the roguelike element to it, because as each person you battle against, and you battle across 5 people with 3 rounds each for each run that you initially start off with and doing, the score that you need to clear gets incrementally higher and higher and higher, but with big jumps in between each person. And so very quickly you'll start to run out of score, and then you'll be automatically kind of pulled into a game over. This then brings you to the roguelite element of Letterlike. This is really difficult for me to enunciate. I'm having to really think about how I say this. But when you get into the kind of overarching menu, you can then spend gems that you collect for each person you beat. You can, in theory, ask for coins as well, but I always ask for gems because I'm thinking about overarching progress here. And what that allows you to do is to unlock more letters. So eventually you can get up to 12 letters unlocked, which again means that you're going to have much beefier, meatier words, or more chances to get, say, a 7, 8, 9 or 10 letter word out of all of those tiles. But it will also mean that you can add on things like earning interest in the coins you don't spend, or scoring more coins based on you shooting X% over the baseline score that you need to meet. Or it could be that you start off with more coins, or you can re-roll on the store for things that are cheaper. It could be that you can sell some of your buffs and gain back more of your money, or you could just reduce down the cost of items in the store. All of these things are valid, they're all very helpful, and I recommend you slowly start chomping through and unlocking various different versions of them, because they incrementally start to help you get further and further and further in the game. And the more letters you unlock, the more chance you have of being able to hit big. But it then means that you've got more choice in the store about where you spend your money, because then you start to think, do I want to focus on some real big hitting letter scores but maybe never get them? Or do I want to focus on something a little bit more achievable constantly and spend all of my cash there? Or do I want to sit and upgrade all of the different letter tiles so that I have more bang for my buck each time I play a word? And so it's really up to you how you go about it. Each game that you play is seeded, so you can go back and replay the same conditions again. And that's just as well, because each person that you go up against, on their third round, it adds in a weird kind of boss motif to it. Sometimes it might be that the score that you need to reach is doubled. One of the most annoying ones that's made me cringe and hate myself is each word that you score scores 3 letters less in the multiplier than what you actually give. So if you've spent all of your cash upgrading your 7, 8 or 9 worded multiplier, suddenly now your 8 is now only going to score what your 5 is. And you're thinking, I didn't buy any of those upgrades, and now all of my words are going to score poorly. Thankfully, in the shop, you can buy extra hearts because you have to do all of this within 5 words or less. Some of the end bosses kind of twists are you only get 3 words to do it in, and you're thinking, uh-ohs, gotta score big. And the other thing to consider is that you are given, at least in the base game, 5 discards per round to consider and swap out with. So you can swap out multiple letters, see if you can try and make a bigger, better word with it. And my strong advice is to use those discards heavily so that you can then optimize your bang for your buck. However, you do get coins for the amount of discards that you've got left too. So again, swings and roundabouts. Once you clear the main game, it starts to unlock additional tiers for it. So the first tier is like the very first letter in every word no longer scores. And then it unlocks variants of the game, like a bank holiday one, where you can't earn any interest on any money that you've got in your bank, but you do score more coins for every word that you clear. And then there's like the purple bag, where you have to now do things on 4 words, but you get more discards. It's all different variations of the same thing, and I welcome and recommend you kind of dipping in and out and trying different versions. But for me, I did find that the main staple game variant of it was probably the best balanced of the lot and the one that I spent the most time with. This is one of those games that looks totally unassuming, but you will spend hours and hours and hours just losing all sense of time to and getting really frustrated when you find that one of those bosses' little twists is exactly the one that you didn't plan for or don't have anything to back yourself up with. And so slow and steady wins the race. Invest in those gems to try and get overworld upgrades. And thankfully, at the end of it, you'll start to have absolute god-tier dictionary skills to be able to deliver really big, chunky words. And it's there where Letterlike really shines. And when you get the big explosive, 10 letter words at the end, and you're thinking, this one hits good. That's where Letterlike really shines. Letterlike is currently out now on mobile and will be making its way across to Steam very shortly, and you can add it to your wishlist now. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.